Welcome back to Families in Action here on AM 1220, your hometown station, KHTS. Cary, today we're talking about codependency, and on the phone we have somebody that people haven't heard from in quite a while. It's actually the producer of Families in Action, the radio show, Stephanie Weiss.
That's right. Steph, thanks for calling in. I know you wanted to get involved in this conversation, so you're on the air with us.
You know what, guys? Hi, how are you? I'm listening from Texas. Do every Monday. You do a great job. And the gift that you give is education, among other things. And I was sitting here reflecting about the first time I walked into a parent-teen support group meeting, bent, broken, and then Jim and I ended up in there, and then there was a lot of denial, a lot of other things that went on for our family. And then I had a kid in drug and alcohol treatment, and then I became a addiction counselor. And so here are the things I've learned about codependency. One, we don't understand what it is when it's talked about, and you have to hear it a lot before you understand it.
Right.
Two, the important thing about codependency is when you're in treatment, most people, when people have a person in treatment that's a loved one, many people refuse to go to family therapy. I don't need that. That's their problem. But that's where you learn about the issues that affect families, because addiction is a family disease, and it's important to know and understand that.
And it's a family disease that affects everybody close to the person that is drinking or using.
Exactly.
And if you don't treat everybody, and we get that all the time, our treatment programs, we treat everybody. We have the identified patient, obviously, that comes into treatment, but then there's family therapy weekly, there's group therapy weekly for the family, because it's so important, because eventually, if Mike's coming into rehab, he's going home to everybody else, so he can't go home to the same situation. You have to treat everybody. And besides the fact, I was talking to a mom that brought a kid home this weekend, and she called me today. She says, I'm walking on eggshells. And that's what we don't want. We want everybody to feel some sense of comfort. And the only way you're going to feel that is by getting treatment along with your alcoholic or addict.
And the thing that your counselors tell me, and I'm involved with a couple agencies here in Texas on a volunteer basis, tell me, you know what those counselors tell me? Is that families refuse to get well. So what happens is
because Steph, they're invested in the situation. They're invested in being the martyr. They're invested in keeping things sick.
And when that happens, and here's one of the dynamics that happens, is that it's called the rear view mirror. We all use a rear view mirror to look backwards when we're driving to see if there's any issue that we might be in trouble with, but we don't look forward always. And I'll use that as an analogy, because when our loved ones are getting well, we're still looking in the rear view mirror, and that's part of that codependency. Oh, but they did this. Oh, but they did this. Oh, but they did that. And when you're stuck in that rear view mirror, you cannot move forward with your own life and let them move forward with their own lives.
And that's exactly right. And I'll tell you what, when somebody goes into treatment, it really is a family illness. It's a family disease, and you have to treat everybody close to that person. If you're not treating the family, there's a huge piece missing, and chance of relapse is extremely high.
Exactly.
Stephanie, I've got a question for you. This is slightly off topic, but I wanted to find out. I understand that you're down there in Texas. I understand that you've developed a codependency problem with regard to mesquite grilled steaks. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. We are so barbecue bound in this household. We love every minute of it.
That's great. See, there is some good points to codependency, Mike.
Well, it's hard to beat a good mesquite grilled steak, that's for a fact.
Yeah. So what do you think, Steph? What do you think? What should the message be?
I think the message needs to happen to continue, but I think the message is that families need to walk alongside their addict and all get well.
Exactly.
And practice those skills over and over and over again.
And what about that, if he loved me, he wouldn't do this?
It has nothing to do with you as a family member. That's their own deal. You didn't cause it, you can't cure it, and you can't control it.
Say that again, please.
Didn't cause it, can't control it.
Can't control it.
didn't cause it, can't control it. Those are the two important ones of the 3 C's. But cause, control, you just didn't do that.
No.
You don't have that power. We don't have that power. It's individual choices people make. And when somebody relapses, to buy into codependency on that one, that is very sick, because that was a choice an individual chose to make.
And that's a great point, because last week we were talking about this, and that is that the family members and friends do everything they can do to keep that person from hitting their bottom.
Oh, bottoms are so important no matter what they are.
Mm-hmm. And for everybody, it's a different bottom. And in some circumstances, you can actually help the alcoholic or addict hit a bottom by creating a crisis in their life that you kind of has some kind of control over. That's what interventions are. When you sit down and everybody does an intervention and says, hey, Mike, bottom line, if you don't, we're not going to see you, I'm going to divorce you, the kids aren't going to see you, you're going to lose your job. You're then creating a bottom. You're creating a crisis that everybody around has some kind of control over. Mm-hmm.
And that's the importance of healing from codependency, because if you remain codependent, you will not follow through with anything that you said you would do if they don't.
Exactly. So, but that gets back to you where you're stuck on keeping people stuck, because you can be the martyr then. So it's kind of one of those things, wake up and smell the roses.
And we can put this in perspective, too, by saying there are people out there that say, well, I have a 20-year-old that still lives at home. They lay on the couch and watch TV all day. They eat the food. Mommy's doing the laundry. I mean, what do we do? What do we do? And the answer is real simple. Well, first of all, they can get introduced to paying rent, helping to pay for that food, right?
Right. And the laundry mat closes.
And when the 20-year-old says to them, but what am I supposed to do? I don't have a job. Well, there's a culvert out there that you can sleep in for a while, but you're not sleeping here anymore.
Yeah, and I hear that all the time from people too. Well, I don't want to throw my kid out because then they'll drink more. Well, probably not. They're probably drinking as much as they can because everything is given to them and it's free.
You and I had an experience one time. You asked me to go with you to a place, and I'll just keep this very anonymous.
Okay.
But the people that you were talking to, and you were saying, I have room for them at Action. And the father and mother's response was, we don't want them around other addicts because that will make them use more.
Exactly. I mean, are you listening?
And listen.
Let
me put this in perspective. Let me put this in perspective. The person that you wanted to take to your unit was on their deathbed in the ICU, the intensive care unit.
And I remember that person, and that person died.
Wow.
That person died. That person left the intensive care unit, didn't go to treatment, and lost his life a few months later. Pretty sad. On that note, this is Families in Action on our hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen. I have my co-host, Michael Duarte, and one of our producers, Stephanie Weiss, on the phone. Hey, that's pretty cool, huh? It's like we're all here and we're talking about codependency.
All the way from Texas. Yeehaw.
All the way from Texas. And Steph, what a great show, huh?
It is a great show. It's important for families to hear. It's important that they get healthy, regardless whether their addict or who's an alcoholic or drug addict does.
Hey, and that's a good point, Stephanie. There's nothing that says that the person that's the alcoholic or addicted to drugs is going to get better. So that leaves a family where? Well, like you just said, they can get well.
Yeah, they can.
You know, Mike, when I first met Cary Quashen, he shared with me something that was really important, that's been important to our lives and with Jim and I. And he said, Stephanie, I will never tell you that your kid will be clean and sober. He said, but I will tell you and teach you and educate you so that your family will survive. And that he did. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
But at the end of the day, that's one of the most important things in the world, to go to bed and know that we as parents, done everything you and we can do to help our child or our loved one. But eventually, it becomes their choice. And the only person in this world we have any real control or power over is us. And we got to remember this: the stronger we get, the more we affect everybody around us.
Goes back to that airplane thing. You got to
Goes
wait
back-
for that oxygen mask to come down.
right.
You put it on yourself first so
Right.
that you can help your child.
The
Without
strong-
that, you give it to them, you're in trouble. You can't help them.
The stronger
And
we
Cary,
get.
I think what I would share with your listening audience today
Which
is
you are, Stephanie.
well, you know what? But here's what I want to share, Cary, that if you're sitting there going, gosh, I'm part of the problem here and I want to get better, then pick up the phone and call, because there'll be a counselor at Action who will at least talk to you.
That's exactly right. You could always call 800-367-8336, and if they don't answer correctly, you can ask them for my cell phone number. I'll give it to you. It's 661-713-3006. You can call me anytime, and don't forget that there's Action Parenting Support Groups here every Tuesday night. You got the Child and Family Center here that's open. I mean, you got Henry Mayo Hospital that's open 24 hours a day. If there's a crisis, you got suicide helplines. If you have insurance on the back of your card, it will say for mental health or substance abuse, call this number. So there's so many different avenues to get some kind of help here if you want it. The most important thing is don't try to do this by yourself.
And Cary, for those out there, the listeners who are stumbling around trying to find something to write on, or they're trying to write something into their cell phone, would you give them those two numbers one more time, nice and slowly?
Well, sure. It's 800-367-8336 or 661-713-3006. That's my direct cell, and I answer it always. If I don't, I'll call you right back. But the bottom line is, we don't want you to have to carry this weight by yourself. That's a weight that's just too heavy for anybody's shoulders. You can reach out, get some help. Don't try to do this thing by yourself. And the most important thing is, you got to take care of yourself. Remember this, the stronger you get, the better everything around you gets.
Hey, Cary, you know what? This has been a really great show because, again, we've done, for the last 3 Mondays, we have done something so important for people out there. We have empowered them with information, with knowledge. And it was great having Stephanie on the show. Stephanie, say hello to Texas down there for us.
Yep.
And the next time you have a
certainly
mesquite steak, think about us for 2 seconds, will you?
I will. I will.
And next week we're going to be talking about the immature teen brain on pot with our special guest, Dr. Darren Privet. This is going to be a good one, Cary.
It's going to be a good one. It's something you don't want to miss. Extremely important, especially in today's world when it comes to the teen brain and the high-potency THC marijuana that's out there right now affecting our children. So that is a show that you don't want to miss. Mike, it was a great show. Thanks for being my co-host.
My
It's
pleasure.
wonderful to have you. Stephanie, thanks for coming on the air with us. This is Families in Action on our hometown station, AM 1220. KHTS will be back next week.